Hello, my name is Kai Manners and I'm a pre-sales engineer at Collibra, and today we will be talking about automating data privacy governance using Collibra. When we look at the pain points companies are facing today, what we will see is a lot of the work is being done manually. In trying to locate data, teams across lines of businesses are using email to ask where relevant data is located. In order to monitor data, teams are manually uploading data to third-party mapping tools just to gain visibility. And finally, to maintain compliance, teams are sifting through spreadsheets to track progress of their privacy programs and manually producing audit reports. All of this leads to productivity loss and potential fines. The productivity loss comes in the form of wasted time on manual steps to manage privacy, and the potential fines are for the GDPR and CCPA penalties. Let us meet Preston, a privacy manager of a Fortune 1000 company. The Chief Privacy Officer relies on him to help the company achieve a core objective, which is to help his company improve its compliance posture. Let's start with the first journey and see in the Collibra platform how Preston registers privacy policies and standards created by the privacy team, defining what data is considered restricted data for the company. We log in as Preston. The privacy team creates a data classification policy to classify the organization's data based on its level of sensitivity, value, and criticality. In this example, Preston's team classifies the organization's data according to 3 data standards: public data, non-sensitive, lowest security and access control required; private data, moderate level of risk; restricted data, very sensitive data. For each data standard, Preston needs to define the data categories that need to respect the required level of access control and security. Let's see what data category is considered restricted data standard in Preston's organization. Protected health information is considered restricted data, as well as payment card information, for example. Now, what data elements are part of these data categories and ultimately considered restricted data? Let's take payment card information as an example. Preston and the privacy team define all of the data attributes that are part of the different data categories. Each data attribute belongs to a data entity. For example, we see that the data attribute credit card number belongs to the data entity customer. This means that for Preston's company, a customer's credit card number is PCI. Preston links all of the data attributes to their corresponding data categories, allowing him to quickly know which data attributes are considered restricted data. When Preston navigates to the diagram, he can see what restricted data is handled by his company. Now that Preston knows where his restricted data resides, he would like to know why it is used. He will request from business users to register their business processes they use in their daily activities to understand why data is used throughout the company. Through the Collibra platform, Preston can request input from these business users. Preston selects the business users he would like to request input from. In this case, Preston selects Cliff Baker because he would like him to register marketing business processes. We can see that a message is pre-filled with a standard message explaining the importance of registering business processes to comply with privacy legislations. Cliff receives an email with Preston's message asking him to go to the marketing process register and make sure that all the business processes that he uses are registered. Cliff then accesses the marketing process register through the link in Preston's email and can go through all business processes already registered. The process that Cliff goes through when he creates a campaign for a new product launch is not registered, so Cliff will propose a new process. What is great with this business user interface is that Cliff does not need to create privacy content. Cliff will be taken through a series of steps where he will have to select the appropriate information out of a list of assets created by the privacy team. He enters a name for his process. He gives a short description of the process. He then needs to select the purpose for this business process. To make things easier for Cliff, the tool allows him to select from a list of purposes that the privacy team created. Cliff then needs to inform which activities this process represents, select the kind of personal information used by this process, and the category of customers used by this process. Users are informed through privacy tutorials and are helped with examples and can choose out of a limited number of choices. Those assets were previously approved by the privacy manager. Cliff then provides additional information, such as the lines of businesses contributing to the process, internal legal entities, and external third parties, as well as the internal applications or systems provided by the external vendors that are in use in this process. He then finishes by describing the level of automation of the process. Cliff can review his process and submit for approval to the owner of the process. His process is created and added to the list of processes in the marketing process register. We can see the process status is in review. For the process to be approved, it can go through the data owner, business steward, privacy manager, and any stakeholder that the organization wants to include. These steps are customizable. Preston logs back into Collibra to finish registering the business process. Preston can identify the scope of the regulations applicable to the business process based on the data used by the process, the data subject categories and systems used, as well as the knowledge he has on entities participating in the processing. Regarding the data usage, Preston can also assign applicable policies, such as the data classification policy created by the privacy team. Privacy regulations also require Preston to select purposes and legal basis. These assets are governed by the privacy team and correspond to the regulatory requirements. Based on the list of entities involved in this particular process, Preston can also determine the roles of controllers, joint controllers, and processors to make sure there's clear accountability indicated in the documentation. Certain aspects of business process onboarding refer to the specific requirements of selected regulations. So depending on the previous choices Preston made, he will be able to indicate cross-border transfers for GDPR as well as automated decision-making and profiling activities. For CCPA, one of the key requirements would be to identify processes used for commercial purposes, activities that involve selling personal information to third parties. All of this information can be provided in these sections of the workflows accordingly. Now, if Preston goes to the marketing process register, he can see that the process has been approved. He opens the process back in the Collibra platform. He can discover the process. Here, Preston can see the register process in the Collibra platform. He can see its status is approved, meaning that it went through all of the steps that we previously mentioned. We can see that there are two overview pages, one for CCPA and one for GDPR. As Preston got to review the process during its approval journey, he had to identify the different regulations applicable to the business process. Preston could easily identify this based on the information provided by his colleagues. In the previous steps, they provided information regarding the data used by the process, the data subject categories, the systems, and the parties. All of this information allowed Preston to specify the regulations that are applicable, the legal basis, and specific information related to the various regulations. This work done by the privacy team, jointly with the business users and other stakeholders, allow users to select the right purpose when shopping for data and data owners to make sure they provide access in a secure manner. By going to the diagram, you can see that the process and its purpose are linked to the physical data. Preston can understand the reason for the usage of the restricted data. Collibra is here to help. With Collibra data privacy, teams can expect to quickly identify the location of personal information and personally identifiable information, PI and PII for short, to gain understanding of user access around sensitive information within the organization, and to easily generate reporting for audit purposes or to surface up to management to understand progress made towards compliance. That concludes the end of our demo. Thank you for listening.